Hey friends, this is not Jake Ducey. However, I am a friend of Jake's, John Assaraf. And so Jake asked me to come on and talk about subconscious money programs. What is a money story? How does our money story and some of our subconscious conditioning keep us stuck? So I see somebody has joined. Hi there, Jason. Jason Moffat. Hey, Jason. So anyway, my name is John Assaraf. I'm a friend of Jake's. And Jason, how you doing, man? If you're just joining me, just let me know who you are. I'm being a guest host on Jake's page right now. And you're probably wondering, who's this guy with short hair and glasses versus, long hair? And hey, Cassandra, great to see you here. I'm just connecting here. I can get a chance to see my wear and tear here. I'm going to wait till a few people join us. If you can hear me and see me, do me a favor, hit the like button or the love button, whichever you prefer, and a little thing will come across my screen. Miklos, you have the same shirt. Awesome. Oh, there we go. I got one love thing there. Awesome. Aloha from Maui. Awesome. There we go. We got a like and a love. So again, my name is John Assaraf. I'm a New York Times best-selling author of Having It All and The Answer. You may remember me from the hit movie The Secret, or the movie Quest for Success with Richard Branson and the Dalai Lama. My passion is the brain. I think I've got one over here somewhere. How do you get this to work better? And one of the things that I know holds so many people back is their subconscious conditioning. So how many of you have heard in your past that all the power is in the subconscious? If you have, just hit the like or the love button, or just type in, yeah, I have. Because we're going to go a little bit deeper today. We're just going to be about 15, 20 minutes talking a little bit about this. And let's see what we've got over here. All right. Great. So yeah, what is a money story? What is the subconscious, responsible for? These are the different parts of the brain. Why is it so important? Well, number one, if you think about this for just a moment, what child was born with any belief about what she could or he could earn? What child was ever born with the skill set to be able to be innovative enough to put a human being on Mars? Some of the propensities are there for certain behaviors, but every one of us has the ability to carve and shape, our future, not by just thinking about it, but by training the subconscious mind, which is really responsible for most of your behavior. And so I'm going to backtrack from over there. Just joined. I'm John Assaraf. I'm just taking over Jake's page for about 20 minutes. He wanted me to talk about something called the money story and subconscious conditioning. And I've done some interviews with Jake in the past on this, and he's one of our students at Neurogym. And so let's talk about what is a money story. And so there isn't a human being alive that's born with any belief about money, any belief about what they're capable of earning, any belief of whether they're good enough or smart enough or worthy, or how much they should tip, or how much they should spend on a hotel room or on an airplane seat, or how much they should spend on a car. All of this is what we learn from our parents and our environment and our friends and what we see on TV, etc. But every human being develops a money story. It's the story that they tell themselves that has a theme, a plot line, strategies, tactics that drive behaviors. So let's say you're at a restaurant and you get really great service. Do you tip 15%, 10%, or 25%, or 50 or 100%? Well, some people tip 25, 30% for great service. Other people tip 10% or 15% for great service. If you're in Europe, in most places, you don't tip at all. So as you start to dive into your money story, why do you do what you do? You start to realize that everything is based on your subconscious conditioning. And the question is, how do we become conditioned at the subconscious level? And that is through experience and repetition. And so experience could be your own, something you watch on TV, something you experience through your family, or your own behaviors. And if you repeat a pattern in behavior enough times, it goes from conscious effort of that pattern to subconscious conditioning, and then that pattern drives the behavior. Does that make sense so far? So if it makes sense, do me a favor, just hit the like button or hit the yes button. I'm going to give you a couple of tools to use. So the more participation we have, the more I'm going to give you as far as content. So I got a couple of likes and a couple of loves there. Come on, participate here. We're just having fun. I'm just sitting here in my office in San Diego. So where did you develop your beliefs about how much you can earn? Where did you develop your beliefs about whether you're worthy or you're not worthy? The money story that most people have, they inherited from usually their parents or their friends. Usually parents or friends, two influential groups. But because of the way the brain works, is the environment that you were in as a child up to about 10 years old, that's really what constituted the majority of the neural networks and patterns that were encoded when something called the brain plasticity switch was in a mostly on position. And if you want to know why a baby sleeps so much, is because they're creating so many neural networks that require so much energy that they're awake for maybe 2, 3, 4 hours a day, but asleep for 20. But once those patterns go from conscious effort to subconscious patterns that run automatically, we conserve energy, we could be awake more. But when you have a money story about how much you are worth or what you can buy, have you ever been to a restaurant and you look at the menu, and based on how expensive something is or how cheap something is, that's how you make your decision? And that's because there's a money story going on. Or do you catch yourself, when it's your birthday, when it's an anniversary, when it's time to celebrate, you can spend more money? Well, that's all driven by your money story. Most people's money story is all messed up. And so they'll invest $1,000 on a big screen TV, but they won't invest $1,000 in overcoming the mental or emotional obstacles that hold them back from achieving $100,000 in income. They'll spend, $1,000 on a couple of nights in Disneyland with their friends or family, but they won't spend $1,000 to be able to upgrade their skills, whether it's in sales or marketing, to get better at what they do or whatever their job is. So there's all of these mismatched things going on in people's brains. And what we do here at NeuroGym is we figure out what are the mental or emotional things that are holding people back. I'd like to do just a little survey if I can, but just a verbal one. What do you think is the number one thing that holds people back from really going after their goals and dreams? What's number one? Let's take a look at this. So Elaine says, difficult breaking the chain of conditioning if you don't know how. Correct. All right, so what's the number one thing? Give me, what's the number one thing that holds people back? Let me see, come on. Emmy, okay, Emmy, fear. Now, in the brain, fear is nothing more than a circuit that's activated either by something that's happening in your external world coming through your senses that is processed at the non-conscious level at the rate of 400 billion bits of information per second. And if there's any chance of emotional, physical, mental, financial, or spiritual pain or suffering, then the brake gets put on and you're in your fight, flight, or freeze modality of the brain, which shuts down motivation. So fear, but there's 50 different types of fear. There's fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being embarrassed, fear of being ashamed, fear of being ridiculed, fear of being judged, fear of success and then failing, fear of disappointing yourself one more time and stripping away another one of your self-esteem, stripping away some of your self-esteem. So when fear is activated at the non-conscious level, motivation shuts down. The left prefrontal cortex, the genius part of your brain, actually deactivates because blood flow moves away from there to fuel the flight, freeze, or fight response mechanism in the brain. So if any one of the 50 fears are holding you back, whether you know it or not, you're not going to be able to achieve the success you want because you're going to have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. What's the number two reason people do not really go after what they want? Come on. So number one is fear. That is correct. Number two, what's number two? So Elaine, people perceiving me as selfish. And so if people perceive you as selfish and you really care, then the number two, okay, the number two reason is self-esteem. Self-esteem. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not worthy, I don't have the skills, I don't have the knowledge, I have doubts, anxiety, stress. So when we worry about what other people think, when we don't feel like we're good enough or smart enough or worthy or skilled, guess what circuit we activate? We activate that stress circuit again. And so we are fearful again that somebody's going to judge us, or we're going to be embarrassed or ashamed, or we're going to prove to ourselves that we really aren't that good enough or deserving enough or worthy enough. Does that make sense? Does that make sense so far? We've got self-esteem on one and fear on the other side. And self-esteem is conscious or subconscious, right? We may be aware of it consciously, but it's a subconscious pattern that is running and driving behavior. So where am I going with this? I want to invite all of you, by the way, to our brain-a-thon, which we're doing an encore this Saturday with myself and 7 other world-renowned brain experts to help people unlock their brain so they unlock their income and upgrade their brain to upgrade their income. But the things that's the most important is if you have a vision, if you have a goal, and you say, okay, this is what I want to achieve in my life, you might say, well, I don't have the skills to achieve it. That's okay. If you don't have the skills, then it's your job to either get the skills or partner with people who get the skills. And by the way, Jake's team is going to put a link if you want to join me for the Brain-a-thon this Saturday. It's the encore presentation, unbelievable. But if you don't have the skills, the knowledge or the skills, that's going to cause a feeling of uncertainty and doubt. When we have a feeling of uncertainty and doubt, we trigger the stress response system. The fear system is the exact same system. And that shuts down motivation and causes us to procrastinate and to sabotage ourselves through that little critical voice that we have that, oh, you don't have the skill, you don't have the knowledge, you're too old, you're too young, it's too early, it's too late, it's the wrong season, etc. That's what happens when you have, the knowledge and skill gap. But when we have a gap of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not worthy, that causes a lack of confidence and certainty in oneself, those are things that you can recreate in the brain through neuroplasticity, which is the ability to create new neural patterns. One of my friends, Dr. Sarah Mackay, who's an Oxford-trained neuroscientist, she's actually going to be doing a training session called Refire to Rewire Your Brain. And she's a brilliant neuroscientist that you'll get to learn from if you want to join us for the Brain-a-thon. But one of the things to remember is if you have a belief, a limiting belief that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy, etc., in a neuroscience perspective, all that is a pattern in the brain that's been reinforced. And so if there's a pattern in the brain that's being reinforced, is there a way to deactivate that pattern while you create a new pattern that's more empowering? And the answer is absolutely. According to Dr. Michael Merzenich, one of the leading pioneers in the world of neuroplasticity, when you get involved in new learning like you are right now, novel situations, things that make you curious, things that you practice that's new, you're actually turning on the brain plasticity switch, and you're in essence unlocking some of the brain's hidden power and potential to rewire itself. Now, why are people creatures of habit? Well, a habit is nothing more than a series of patterns that have interconnected to operate automatically. No differently than when you turn on your engine in your car, the spark plug fires, the gasoline is lit, starts the combustion. There's an entire process. Well, the brain's got processes as well. And when you are firing patterns that are limiting beliefs, fears, over and over and over and over again, something happens. And the thing that happens is the equivalent of setting your thermostat and walking out of the car or the room. When you set the thermostat, the autopilot in the thermostat system is called a cybernetic mechanism. It measures the temperature in the room through a sensor, and any deviation up or down from the set program does what? Turns on the air or turns on the heat. That's called a cybernetic mechanism. It's a control and response mechanism that occurs in machines, but also occurs in the brain. So if you are conditioned or programmed to earn $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 or $1 million a year, if you earn less, you go into high gear to get back up to your homeostasis or comfort zone. But if you have a good day or a good week or a good month and you earn more, you will quickly average out so that you are at the subconscious set point or comfort zone. And to prove this, think about this. How many lottery winners keep their money, the millions that they earn when they win the lottery? And the answer is about 14%, which means 86% lose all the money. 14% end up keeping the money over a long period of time. And so when people lose weight, 99.5% of people gain it all back, and then in many cases, a little bit more. Does that make sense? When people have money in their pocket or they have money in their bank account that they're not used to having, they will spend that money until they have the same amount that they're normally used to in their pocket or bank account. It's not because they don't have the knowledge or the skill or the desire for something different. It's because the brain operates on processes of efficiency, energy conservation, safety first, efficiency second. But then the third thing the brain's most responsible for is to make sure that your outer world of results matches your internal expectation point. Not your vision, not your goals, but the internal subconscious expectation point based on what you have gotten used to. So if you've gotten used to not having money over a period of time, or always having debt, or always, flying coach instead of business, or always whatever the case is, if you've just gotten used to it, that's what the default network is going to keep driving you towards. And so the key is resetting. For example, if you want to make more money, you have to reset the self-image and the financial set point. If you want to lose weight and keep it off, you have to reset the self-image and you have to reset the fat set point in the brain. If you don't do that, you may be able to use willpower and persistence to have some activity and some gains, but you will quickly revert back to all the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to get you back to your homeostasis. That's just the way the patterns work. That's just the neuro mechanisms in the brain and the neurochemistry that causes all of this to happen in nanoseconds. And so the subconscious is a really powerful, powerful tool to use if you know how to use it. And so if you want to learn how to recognize what to do about fears, what to do about limiting beliefs, how to refire your brain, to rewire your brain, if you want to learn some amazing, what I call our inner size techniques. Exercises are muscles for your physical body. Inner sizes are techniques to create stronger neuromuscles, beliefs, habits, perceptions, attitudes, behaviors. And so if you want to learn more about this, I promised Jake I'd only be about 20 minutes on his page. Join me for the Encore Brain-a-thon this Saturday. It's free. There'll be myself, 7 other brain experts that will blow your mind on exactly what you need to do to shatter your financial glass ceiling, but to unlock your brain's hidden power and potential. All right, so if you like that, use that. I hope you have a great day. Give me a like or a love if you found a couple of pieces that are useful. And if you really liked it, then do me a favor and hit the share button, and let's get Jake some more viewers on his page. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'm looking at your comments right now. And let me just see. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So the link to the Brain-a-thon, they're going to put underneath. If you take a look right underneath Jake's page where the instructions were for coming on this live, there's a link right over there, okay? And they'll pin it in, just above here. So have an awesome day. Hope you enjoyed this. Quick, short, hopefully useful for you. Bye now. Thank you so much.